Hey, aloha everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's been a while since I posted my last long form video, but I wasn't 100% sure what to do until I realized that Girls' Day was coming up. And so I ended up going through my phone and finding old photos, and sure enough, I found what I did last year for my job, and it was this really big old Pokémon Hinamatsuri display. It was for window decor, and I ended up working on it about the same time frame as what I did this year, so it's about a week or so, 7 days. And I pretty much made everything from scratch. It's from cardstock paper instead of felt, but yeah, it was definitely a big project. And I didn't make everything. I actually needed some help, and sure enough, my coworker Christy made the little lantern, so I was really thankful for that. But yeah, it was definitely a big project. Not sure why I decided to do it again this year, but I figured it'd be a fun challenge, and then sure enough, I did make it smaller, but I don't know why I chose to do two. Maybe because I was being ambitious, or you know, a little crazy. But anyway, I did get to work, and I did try to be a little smarter this time, at least in planning some of it. And yeah, it's not a tutorial per se, but you can definitely see my creative process, I guess, and maybe just a little bit of the chaos that goes on inside my brain. So day one, I was supposed to be on vacation, but once I went to Daiso, it was game over because I saw all that felt. And yeah, and I also donkeyed around a bit. And so day two, the actual work started. So I first went to the store, I got foam core board, and then I really tried to measure a lot before building the actual platform. And you know, even though I drew things out, I engineered the whole thing on paper first. When I went to draw the lines out on the foam core board, I realized the sheet I bought wasn't even large enough for two whole stands. And so before I started panicking and cutting away, thankfully I just had the bright idea, you know what, I'll just minus 2 inches lengthwise, and I ended up conserving the foam core that I had, so it ended up working out. So D3 started off okay. Here you can kind of see I just did the little foam pieces for the Pokemon to set on. But after, when I started building like the little floral display stands, it was pretty hectic because there were a lot of little tiny beads that I had to glue together. And sure enough, you know, play with a hot glue gun, you burn your hands a little. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as I thought, where I was bleeding or anything like that. But yeah, it was really painful. Anyway, some of the little pieces I kind of forgot what they were, and the reference picture that I was using was pretty old, so even when I went to go zoom in, especially, you know, the little stands between like Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and Charmander, I couldn't really tell what they were, so I just kind of called them the pink little mochi things on the pillows. But yeah, I made use of a lot of old craftings that I haven't used in a while, so it was actually a pretty fun process. Day 4 got a little better, well, at least in the beginning, because I ended up watching an old tutorial video on how paper lanterns are made. But I kind of did it late at night, so I didn't get much sleep. And I also didn't follow, everything exactly, of course. But I did manage to get something that worked. The first time, though, I knew I needed something a little more stable than like the 4 little thin pieces of paper, so I added reinforcements, and they actually turned out way nicer than I imagined. So day 5 was where the stress actually really started to grow, and at this point I was really also mad at myself for getting stuck in my perfectionist habits again. I constantly had to remind myself to talk gently pretty much and say, you got this, but holy moly, take a break, go reward yourself for coming this far, you're not gonna die if you do. And yeah, I had really fatigued myself, especially my hands and my elbows. So lesson learned on overworking. Day 6 I felt like was probably the worst day, but in the beginning, like, I had an appointment, I had to go file my taxes, and I really don't like doing that. But in a way, it was a nice break to get through and get away from the monotony of crafting all day. But in all honesty, I really wanted to get the project done, and I thought I kind of made a good system where I cut all like the felt pieces out and doubled up my portions for my second stand, so that way I could get the workflow going faster. But even then, it still wore me out. And in all honesty, again, days 5 through 7, I really did push myself. I think just to even get one stand done, it wasn't in the healthiest way. I really hate to admit it, but I knew I was kind of suffering from chronic burnout, and it was a constant battle in my head. So I pretty much was reflecting on why I brought back on the stress from my old job, even though I said I wouldn't do so. And sorry, I didn't end up filming every little Pokemon that I cut out, but it's because I kind of had an epiphany. I realized that part of my process wasn't working around this time, because whenever I would start to record, my perfectionist brain would rile itself up. And so I told myself, it was okay to stop. And it also might have just been my introverted brain, still not getting used to the whole idea of recording myself. But yeah, I really had to put the video away and just work through it, so that way I wasn't stressing myself out any more than I had to. So it was another night of less sleep. But once day 7 kicked in, I actually woke up early. Pretty much started singing the final countdown to myself for motivation. And I ended up finishing the first stand a little after 10 a.m. So I was really relieved and super happy. But remember though how I said I'd make 2 stands? My heart almost sank when I remembered I had the second set of felt to glue. But luckily I kept staring at the little rough draft pictures of Pokemon that I drew, so I ended up rendering them in color, and I used alcohol markers and my micron pens, but sorry I don't have videos of me actually coloring them in. I figured it was just more peaceful time for me away from the perfectionist, and I knew I needed it. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole process, and I wish I could have done things differently, of course, but I'm learning, trying not to be as stubborn and trying to get over my perfectionist habits. But at least I'm becoming a little more self-aware. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, let me know in the comments below, and consider subscribing. Otherwise, thank you so much for staying until the end, and to all my girls and ladies out there, I hope you have an amazing Girls' Day. Be blessed, and I hope to see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.